Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Buddhist Biohacker. My name is Lisa Gunshore. I got a little sunburn today. You can see my face is a little red. Went on an awesome hike, 6 miles, and definitely got a little burnt today. But welcome in. We are reading Enlightenment Pie, my book, A Natural Process for Healing. This is a 27-part series, and we aren't quite in the middle yet, but I think we're at least session 7 or 8, somewhere in there. And we are in Become Aware, which is step 1, and we are in chapter 2, which is the crust. And we are headed into contemplation. And I'm going to dive right in. Oh, thank you, Claudia. Thank you, radiating. I am radiating. That's a good word. Oh, my goodness. I have been exercising a lot outside, and it feels really good. And I'm definitely feeling like I'm clearing a lot of energy from my physical body and my energy body. But yeah, I was definitely in the sun and didn't think about it because it's been cold. And then today was warm, and here we are. All right, so welcome in. You can throw in the chat any questions, comments. We're on page 22, an angel number and contemplation. Here we go. In the realm of contemplation, we sow the seeds of our actions and reap the fruits of our deliberations. As Meister Eckhart once said, what we plant in the soil of contemplation, we shall reap in the harvest of action. However, in this modern age, the art of contemplation is often overlooked or dismissed as if it were a trivial pursuit. The Monty Python skit that depicts philosophers playing soccer may seem comical, but it conveys a profound message. Rather than reacting impulsively to situations, we should take the time to contemplate them. By doing so, we can prevent ourselves from making rash decisions based on fear or emotion, and instead arrive at solutions that are both wise and peaceful. And hi, Teresa, welcome in. And yeah, I don't know how many of you remember the Monty Python skits, but they had one with philosophers playing soccer, and it always stuck out to me. I think I saw it in high school and totally stuck out to me because as soon as they blew the whistle and the game started, the soccer players were kind of like running in place and ready to go. And the philosophers really were just sitting there and thinking. And it just always cracked me up because that kind of has had a huge, profound effect on my life because contemplation is a huge part of my work. Okay. Yet, the practice of contemplation is not always easy. It requires us to slow down and take stock of our thoughts and feelings, to hold them in our space for a while, and to allow them to settle and mature. It is a process that demands discipline and patience, but it is one that is ultimately rewarding. Too often we act from a place of stress or anxiety rather than from a calm and centered state of mind. How many times have we gone to bed only to wake up in the morning and realize that we would have done things differently if we had taken the time to contemplate? The practice of contemplation, then, is not only a means of arriving at wiser decisions, but also a way of living a more authentic and fulfilling life. To understand contemplation, I often use pie as an analogy. Imagine you're making a pie and you serve it before it's fully cooked. It won't be good, will it? But if you put it in the oven, it bakes, and the oven holds it for an hour or so, solidifying everything you've put together. Afterward, you take it out and let it cool, giving it another period of rest. Finally, you cut into it and serve it. This process of cooking and resting can be compared to contemplation. You start with an idea or situation that needs resolution, and you hold it in your consciousness. Just like the oven holds the pie, You may dream about it, journal about it, or simply allow it to be present in your thoughts. There is no need to think about it all the time or write about it incessantly. By choosing to hold it, you are doing just that. As you contemplate, your mind works through the issue, and when it's cooked, you become clear on what to do. Once you know what to do, there is another period of rest, much like when the pie is cooling. During this time, you write down your course of action and allow it to manifest in the right time with the right action. Only then do you act on the information received. While this may sound wonderful, it is not always easy to put into practice. Consider a fight with a friend. Our natural reaction is to try and fix it right away. But what if we waited and instead contemplated our next steps? What if we waited a bit longer before acting? I guarantee that by doing so, we would not react the way we would have in the moment. We would not solve it in the way we originally intended. And we would eliminate much of the drama that might have occurred had we continued to push the situation. Contemplation is a valuable lesson for those of us who are impatient, as it teaches us to slow down and consider our actions carefully. What's more, it can be applied to anything in our lives, and it will always yield an answer. So this next part is contemplation and water element. But before we get into that, I just want to kind of say again, I know I just read all this, but I just want to reiterate, I'm a baker. I went to culinary school, and so baking and pastry is important to me. And that's part of why Enlightenment Pie is so fun for me and why it was fun to write. And when you think about exactly what I said, when you bake a pie or a cake, anything that you are baking in the oven, you have to be patient. And you definitely don't want to pull it out too soon. And you also don't want it to sit too long. So there's an art to intuiting that right moment to pull that baked good out of the oven, and then you still can't eat it. In fact, right now, I made these carrot cake muffins. We'll see how they turn out. But I just pulled them out of the oven before I came on the live. And I can't wrap them because they're too hot. And if I do that, right, you get that steamed, they get mushy. So I now have to wait for that right time to even cover them up. And then I have to wait for them to cool and till the morning before I can even frost them. So baking to me is a lot of the same components of contemplation. You don't want to think on something too long. Like you can sit on something too long. And I tie contemplation to earth and water element both, and which is kapha dosha in Ayurveda. And earth and water can make mud, right? So if earth and water mix together and make mud and it's too mushy, you need to wait for it to kind of dry out. But if you wait too long for it to dry out, have you ever had mud on your shoes and you wait too long and then it's impossible to get out of the fabric, right? So you want to think through things and allow things to unfold. And I've found spiritually, you don't want to make big decisions without contemplating them. Or if you're doing inner work, right? If you're thinking about something and trying to understand a shadow component of something you're experiencing. Here comes Cauldron. I'm telling you, Cauldron wants to be on YouTube. She's going to come up here again. She loves coming on these YouTubes since I started doing this at night. I don't know what that's about, but she's working her way out here. So she might visit us again. Anyways, spiritually, if we're sitting with something, it allows our spirit teams, the gurus, our guides, it allows spirit to bring to us what we need. There's a contract I'm working on, and it's very exciting to me because it's very creative and it's very fun. It has to do with food and Ayurveda and health and wellness. And man, oh man, is it testing my patience. And with that, same thing. I have to sit with that energy and allow it to unfold. And I can't push it. I have to allow this all to manifest. So I have to know just that right time of when I'm going to connect and when I'm going to wait and stand back, right? You have to wait for that. So, going back to the example with the fight, like how many times have we had a fight? We want to fix it right away, or we want to be right. There's all sorts of things that goes into that. And sometimes it's good to pull away, to sleep on it, to think about it, to journal about it, to take note of it, and then to go back in and have a different kind of conversation. And after that conversation, you might need to step back, just like my muffins are cooling right now. Same thing. You might need to step back after you have that conversation and allow things to settle and process. So it's processing time. Okay. So contemplation and water element. As I sit by the tranquil waters, I am reminded of the power of contemplation and stillness. The gentle lapping of waves or the soft trickling of a stream has a soothing effect on the mind, allowing for introspection and reflection. Water is not just a physical element, but a symbol of change and transformation. It flows constantly, reminding us of the impermanence of all things. This can inspire deep contemplation on the nature of existence and the importance of embracing change and impermanence. In many spiritual traditions, water is revered for its purifying properties, cleansing the mind, body, and soul. Such cleansing is like the process of contemplation, which involves examining and releasing negative thoughts and emotions to achieve inner peace and clarity. Water can be a powerful ally in the pursuit of contemplation and meditation. Its calming and reflective properties create a conducive environment for introspection and self-awareness, and its symbolic significance inspires deeper contemplation on the nature of life itself. In Bon Buddhism, the water element is one of the 5 primary elements that make up the physical world. Water represents the fluidity of existence and the transformative power of change. Water is a symbol of accommodation in Bon teachings, as it can adapt to any container or circumstance. Similarly, practitioners are encouraged to cultivate a flexible and adaptable mindset that can accommodate the ever-changing nature of life. Just as water can flow around obstacles and take on different forms, so too should practitioners learn to navigate challenges with resilience and creativity. By embracing the fluidity of existence, we can cultivate a sense of ease and adaptability that allows us to navigate life's ups and downs with greater ease. Moreover, water is also associated with purification and cleansing. Just as water can cleanse and purify the body, so too can it cleanse and purify the mind. Through meditation and contemplation, practitioners can use the metaphor of water to release negative thoughts and emotions, cultivating greater clarity and inner peace. Overall, the water element in Bon Buddhism is a powerful symbol of accommodation, flexibility, and purification. By embracing the fluidity of existence and cultivating a flexible mindset, you can navigate life's challenges with greater ease and cultivate greater peace and clarity of mind. So when you think of water in Tibetan Buddhism, that word accommodation. And I think it's interesting because we talk a lot about space, holding space, creating space, needing space. We talk about space. And I love the idea of using the word accommodation instead, because to accommodate someone is really to hold space for them. It talks about that flexibility of water, the flexibility, what's the other word I want to say? Adapting. So when you think of water as an element for contemplation. It's almost like running that clean mountain river through the mind, clearing the mind and creating space to accommodate what you need in your life or what you're thinking about. So the last part of contemplation is the transcendentalists and earth element. I want to be a transcendentalist. I love the transcendentalists, and them and the earth element are a great way to end this portion of contemplation. The transcendentalist viewpoint emphasizes the spiritual and contemplative aspects of nature, recognizing that the natural world is a source of spiritual inspiration and understanding. By immersing oneself in nature, individuals can connect with the divine and gain a deeper understanding of themselves and the universe. This connection with nature is seen as essential to human well-being, and the contemplative act of observing and experiencing the natural world is viewed as a path to spiritual enlightenment. The Ayurvedic dosha of Kapha is associated with the earth element and is characterized by the qualities of stability, grounding, and centeredness. Kapha individuals tend to be calm and steady, with a natural confidence that comes from feeling connected to the earth. Earth governs the physical presence of the body, providing form and weight and grounding individuals in the tactile environment. When earth is imbalanced, individuals may feel ungrounded, unstable, and dissatisfied. However, when in harmony, individuals may feel grounded, stable, and connected with a sense of joy and well-being. The practice of contemplation is a valuable tool in our lives that allows us to arrive at wise and peaceful solutions to situations. It requires discipline and patience, but it is ultimately rewarding. The process of contemplation can be compared to cooking a pie. One starts with an idea or situation that needs resolution and holds it in their consciousness. The mind then works through the issue, and when it's cooked, a clear course of action is identified. Water is also a powerful symbol of contemplation, and its calming and reflective properties create a conducive environment for introspection and self-awareness. Nature's connection is vital for human well-being, and contemplating it leads to spiritual enlightenment. Ultimately, contemplation helps us to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. And that is the end of contemplation. And if I were to give you a homework assignment, it would be to take some time on Easter tomorrow and get out in nature and contemplate. And if you can connect to the earth element and the water element and bring those in, the Tibetan shamanic practice is very simple. It's rebalancing nature's elements in the body, mind, and spirit with nature. So when we go hiking and we can feel the earth on our feet, I definitely got some fire element today. But if you can connect with a water source, listening to running water, getting that flow, that flexibility, that accommodation. And so take something tomorrow into nature that you want to think about, something you want to contemplate, and see if you can come out of nature with a more peaceful mind. So tomorrow, we're going to talk about sacred space. Now, I'm planning on being on, even though it's Easter, and if I'm not, it's because of my kids, but I think I should still be on. So tomorrow, we're going to talk about sacred space and sacred space element, and then Monday night, we're going to get into journaling and self-inquiry. So that is where we are at with the book. A couple of things, don't forget, I do have first edition signed copies. So it's the first edition. This is the second edition. I have just a handful of first edition that I've signed that I have for sale on my website, so you can get them there. I have my Sprouting into Spring tarot reading to provide insight rather than answering questions coming from anxiety and fear. It gives you insight, especially going into the eclipse season. So that's available. That's available on social media. There's QR codes, all of that. And do take a look at my Light Warrior program. It is on my website under the school. You'll see a drop down under school. It says Light Warrior. I'm going to be announcing all of my Light Warrior member events coming up. Very excited about that. And I'll be announcing my Ayurveda and yoga certification programs as well. Those are coming out soon. So take a look at all of that. And I'm happy to report I am booking guests. I'll be back on with Buddhist Biohacker outside of my book as well. And I love you all so much. Have a fabulous Easter, whatever that holiday means to you. And I will see you tomorrow with Sacred Space. Bye, everyone.